Hello and welcome to Queued Pixel. Today I'm continuing my development work on Minecraft plugins. The plugin I'm working on today is a plugin integrating the ShopChest plugin with the Dynmap plugin. All of my plugins are open source. You can access the source code for this plugin on github.com. Go to github.com/queuedpixel/dynmap-shopchest. And the URL is up on the screen. I'll paste that in a chat as well for those who might be interested in clicking on that directly. That'll make it a little easier for you. It's been a little while since I've streamed. Do apologize for that. Just my life's been a little bit busy. Tough to find time to stream. But I'm back, and I'll stream for hopefully a few hours today. I start, as I always do, with the work I've done during my last stream and look at work we're going to be doing going forward. So the completed section tracks work I've done on the last stream. Mostly a lot of kind of code cleanup and formatting stuff to make the ShopChest information appear better in the map. But there's some cleanup stuff, such as only resizing once, resizing regions, check again for overlapping regions. Also, we have a recursive check for overlapping regions, or an iterative check in this case. Then we format price using fractional digits from the economy, add comma separators for numbers, right align, center align, just a whole bunch of formatting stuff. Just iterated over the formatting of those tables. Now, tasks to do going forward is I want to sort the item by item name. This will be a little more obvious once I show you an example of where we're at. But basically, right now there is no real sorting, and if you are looking for a very specific item, you have to basically manually scan over the entire table, which if it's a long table is a bit of a hassle. So the idea is to sort by item name alphabetically, so if you know the item you're looking for, it's easier to find it. Also want to add vendor name to shops. Not a big deal, but if you have a region that includes multiple vendors, it'd be nice to know which vendor is responsible for each shop. Add enchantments. This is really only important if someone is selling enchanted items, but does help to know what those enchantments are. And then finally, set up a scheduled job to periodically update shop information on the map. And then we have some code cleanup stuff. Remove debug information, refactor the style code, and finally add a config file so that all of the settings and whatnot will go to a plugin config file rather than being hard-coded. And this is pretty much everything that I plan to do for version 1.0 of the plugin. I might add a few things to this depending on what I find, but this is basically the roadmap for 1.0 right here. And hopefully, if things go fast enough, I will be able to hit this today and do a release of this plugin. But let's see how far we get. And I know that sometimes software development takes longer than you expect. And so I don't want to get too hung up on having a release today if that just isn't going to happen. So what I'd like to do next is just show you what it looks like for the moment. I think I've grabbed everything. Yeah, let's do a Maven build here, just so we have the latest version of everything, and if there's any build issues, that will tell us. This is my local development server. Let's copy that to our plugins directory and start our server. And hello, Pixel Grief. I saw you chatting a little bit earlier as the stream was starting, so welcome back. And he's still there. Excellent. Woohoo! Yeah, so this is the debug information that gets logged when the plugin runs. Basically documenting or logging every single shop in the server. Then it prints out the regions. Now let's go bring up the local map. So this is using the map prepared by Dynamic Map ShopChest. It has all the things that we normally expect, including the regions here, the claim regions. The thing that the plugin adds is this new ShopChest layer. Let's get rid of the land claim so it's easier to see what's going on. And we have one area created for each what I call region of shops. It basically looks for a grouping of shops in a particular area and does this, creates a, I don't know what they call it, creates a rectangular marker for it. Then you click on it, it brings up this table, and so we can see the header, the items being sold, the amount, how many you buy and sell at one time, the price to buy, and the number available for purchase, and the price to sell and the number available for sale, or that you can sell. This is the Pixelgrief shop, and Pixelgrief doesn't allow you to sell anything, so the sell columns are blank. We also have my shop over here, and this is a little more full. In my case, I do allow players to sell a fair number of items, not everything. Like, I don't allow people to sell me stone or charcoal or saddles, but anything else you can sell to me. I also have a bunch of items available for purchase. All the colors of wool are available, 10 per item, and I have 192 of each available to purchase. And so that's basically what it looks like right now. And as you can see, as I mentioned, the sorting is not quite there. So if somebody's looking for diamonds, you got to basically look through this by hand. It's not black wool, it's not green wool. You go on down, and oh, here's diamonds between magenta wool and charcoal. And so sorting that by name alphabetically would allow that to be easier to find. Some other things we did last time. Here is the Empton shop region. And Empton has just a lot of stuff for sale, so much that it is too much to fit on one screen. And so one of the things we did is add the scroll bar so that you can safely see everything without blowing up the entire screen. What happened before is you click on that region and it'd pop you up to here, then you have to manually scroll by grabbing the mouse or grabbing the map and scrolling up and down. So the scroll bar here is a pretty good improvement there. Some other shop regions here. I think I put a shop out here to test something. There's a shop here I created as an admin shop to test stuff. I also have a shop in the Nether to test that we can do shops in different worlds. And this should work, but it's not clicking for me here for some reason. There we go. Sometimes the dynamic map doesn't work too well. I don't know why. So yeah, so we have a cooked fish shop here. Now, all these shops are in our spawn area, but there's another shop that most players may not be aware of, which is put up by Merrick Thane all the way up here, which I never really noticed until I started working on the ShopChest on this ShopChest dynamic map plugin. So that kind of highlights the importance of this plugin and makes it so much easier to see shops that are available. And in this case, we have things like feathers, chicken, fish, steak, eggs, pie, and cakes, and different potions, night vision, healing, water breathing, swiftness, fire resistance. And so this plugin will allow all players to see all of these items throughout the whole world and make it easier to find. And that's pretty much where we're at for the month. That's where we got last time. And so for today, I think let's look at, I think the first thing on my list is how to sort the table by item name. So let's go ahead and look at this here. Let's go clear out our past completed tasks. It says how to sort by item name. So let's go look at our code. It's been a little while, so let's familiarize ourselves with that and just see where we're at. Oh yeah, here is the style code, and one of my tasks is to refactor this because it's resulting in very lengthy lines. And it's just really hard to read, so I want to rethink how that style code works, but I'm waiting till I get everything else done first, because I might add additional styles and just want to see what all the styles are before I go in and refactor all that style code. All right, so we have this data structure, the shop region data structure, and I think this holds a collection of shops, and we make it a linked list. And so the order of this is just going to be the order we add things to it. It's primarily going to be the order that the ShopChest plugin returns the shops when we query for it, but it also will have some additional ordering stuff based on how we merge our regions over time. Because we have this logic that we wrote last time to merge regions. Check overlapping shop regions, and this checks to see if two or more regions overlap. If they do, we merge them together. And so it's possible that if one or more regions have to merge together, the sort order on this will not be exactly what the ShopChest plugin gives us. And so probably what makes sense to do is to make this, instead of a linked list, to make it like something that allows it to be sorted. Let's go look at the Java utility classes, the collections classes. And I think we can use like a sorted set or something that would allow us to do this. We have sorted set, and this has a concurrent skip list set and a tree set. And this is a class. So there's the set. Let's see if we can do like is there like a hash map list, or, because I don't really need a set as such. There's a hash set, hash table. We have a sorted map. We have this list interface. I'm just trying to see if we do have a sort here. Sort this list according to the order induced by the specified comparator. Default void. And so I'm going to have to step away for 1 second here. Just give me 1 moment. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Just had something come up in real life I wanted to address briefly there. Let's see, I was looking at this sort function. And this takes a comparator. What is a comparator? Does it interface? there's a lot of stuff here. I've never actually implemented a comparator interface before. Well, let's just see if there's a quick tutorial on how to implement a Java comparator. So I'm familiar with the comparable interface. That's quite easy. Comparators. Let's see. Like the comparable interface, the comparator interface consists of a single method. Public interface comparator. Oh yeah, so let's see if we could just write a simple comparator for shops. And the reason why I'm using comparator rather than implementing the comparable interface is because we're using the shop class that is given to us by the by the ShopChest plugin, so we don't have control over that. And if we want to change the sorting, which I'm going to want to do, that won't work. So we're kind of stuck. We're at a known comparator. So let's make a new class. We'll say shop comparator. Implements. And I think it wants us to include what we're comparing. There we go. Now this probably complains because I don't have a compare. And that looks like what? That is public int compare. Let's just grab this. All right, so we've passed the compile test, but it doesn't actually do anything yet. If either of the arguments has an inappropriate type, the compare throws a class cast. Can I just throw a null pointer exception? Well, probably the simplest thing to do is to just do this. Return. Let's rename these to something more reasonable. We'll say shop1, shop2, shop1.compare. Oops. We probably want to get what? We want to sort by item name. Let's go see what item name looks like. See, language utils, get item name, shop.get product. Wow. Okay. That's more than I was hoping, but... Yeah, so we want to get item name of shop1.getProduct. This should return a string. I want to compare it to the second shop. So it might make more sense to say string item1 is equal to this. Let's just grab it like that. String item2 is equal to that. This will make it just easier. Say item2, item1 dot compare to item2. So I think that's good enough. Let's give this a try here. As we're iterating over each region, and so probably the first thing to do is say shop region dot shops dot sort. Oh, you know what? I need to look at this here. I think I'm using a list. Let's say we have a list sort. Do we have a collection sort? No. So what I need to do is convert this to a list. And the comparator, what does this take? Does this just take a new... I think I just say new shop comparator. Let's pull this out. Let's say shop comparator, shop comparator is equal to that. This way we don't have to construct it a billion times. So let's see what that does. That should be enough to sort it. Whether I got the sort order correct, it's possible I've gotten it backwards depending on how this stuff works, but we will see. And so everything is still running here. Let's go take a look at our map. So it takes just a couple of seconds for the map to refresh. All right, start with mine. So we have black, blue, brown, charcoal, cobble, sand, diamond, fishing rod. It looks sorted to me. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's go check Upton's store. It's another big one. Yeah, we have acacia at the beginning, acacia sapling, all the way down to wheat at the very bottom. Pixel Grief Store, we have cooked chicken, diamond feather, gold. So the sorting looks like it's working just fine. So that looks like a pretty good commit point there. Let's go take a look. And so we've added shop comparator. So I don't think I've added my standard copyright notice. Let's go add that. Yep, I did not, so there it is. And in shop region, we got rid of the collection import since we're using the list interface instead. That's the only change there. And then the only change here is we've instantiated our shop comparator class. Then we use the sort function of list to sort right before we do our display. So pretty basic. The bulk of the work is in this comparison comparator class, the shop comparator. And it's all pretty basic. Let's go ahead and commit that. I'll say sort table by item name. That looks pretty good. And what's next? Up next is to add vendor name. And so yeah, let's think about this for a second. So we'll bring up our map again. And so I don't think we have any regions encompassing multiple vendors yet. And so probably what we should do is maybe double our region borders or region padding. I think that is here. So let's say 10 for the moment. Just test that and see if that does give us regions with multiple shops in them. Or multiple vendors, I should say. And the map should come back shortly. I'm hoping that at least these two regions will be combined. Excellent, yes. So we have a couple of larger regions here. Let's go turn off land claims. We have Empton that includes what looks like our admin shop region. We have this region that encompasses Pixel Grief Store, My Store, and Pixel Grief's Boat Store. Not sure where the boat is. Is that a jungle boat? Okay, there it is. Looks like we can buy 4 boats or sell 23 boats. But we don't have the vendor included. And so my thought with the vendor is to have like a row saying, you know, vendor colon and then the vendor name. And then we could have the header for this stuff here. And so let's just start cutting things up and see where we get. All right, so this is going to be per region. So let's say I will say string current vendor is equal to null. Yeah, that's a bit tricky because we're going to do the headers multiple times. We'll just have to we'll experiment and see what we get it to look like here. And so, how do we do vendor? I think I've got to look for the code, their debug code here. So we have shop get vendor get name gets us the vendor name. So current vendor is equal to null. How about we say last vendor? So we're going to have last vendor and current vendor. Last vendor is null. Then let's say current vendor is equal to splat. And then if current vendor is not equals to, is it last vendor? Yeah, if it's not equal to last vendor, then we're going to do something. Say not on that. Now let's see, let's just append a row. What do I do for these guys? Do I have a background color? Yeah, so I'll make it white. And then let's see, let's add in, I'm just going to grab one of these, it doesn't really matter. TD, let's get rid of the style and the TD. I don't know if I care about any of that yet. But we're going to want call span is equal to, I don't know. How many cells do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll say call span is equal to 6. Yeah, let's add in, I'm thinking what, vendor colon, and then we'll add in the vendor name. Yeah, so we reset last vendor. We output this row. That's a white row with one cell that should span all cells. It's a vendor, current vendor. It's not going to look great, but it's just kind of a start for what this might look like. Let's go take a look at that and see if that gets us anywhere close to where we want to be. I'll just wait a moment for the map to refresh here. Okay, that's not quite what I was hoping for. Getting some weird stuff come up. Oh, I closed the TD and then put the content. Let's do that and see if that solves that problem. HTML is very tricky. You got to get it pretty much perfect, otherwise the browser does weird stuff like that. In this case, it seems like it's including that content outside of the table entirely, since it doesn't know where else to put it. So I can't really argue with that behavior, because I obviously screwed up in creating that HTML. Okay, there we go. So it's a little weird. I don't know why we're not seeing the column span working here. Oh, because I misspelled column span. The compile build test cycle is a little lengthy to have to edit the code, compile it, restart the server, wait for the browser to refresh. It's a little bit frustrating, but hopefully we'll get through some of the stuff here and get this looking a little bit better. All right. So, okay, it's a little weird. It has this censoring thing going on, which I wasn't really anticipating that. Now I can see that the vendor is kind of mixed up a little bit here. And so we need to add in an additional sorting question so that we sort by vendor first, and then we sort by item name so that we don't have this kind of alternating thing here. Got to figure out why this is censoring these things. Well, first things first, let's go address the sort issue. That should be nice and easy. We have the shop comparator. We already sort based on item name. And probably the first thing to do is let's add in a check on vendor. In this case, we'll get string vendor1 is equal to that. Vendor2 is shop2 get vendor get name. I say int result is equal to vendor1 dot compare to vendor2. And then if result is not equal to 0, then return result. Otherwise, we compare based on item. Yeah, so we compare vendor first. If they're not the same, so the compare function returns 0 if the two items are the same. If they're not the same, we would simply return that result. If they are the same, then we compare based on item. And that should be good enough. So let's give that a try. So I've got to fix the formatting of that, but it's not that big of a deal. I'm not too worried about it yet. Perfect. So we have Pixel Grief. We have their stores, their Cooked Chicken, their Diamond, Feather, Golden Gut, and Jungle Boat. And then we have the Cued Pixel store that sells all the colors of wool and everything else that we see here. So that sorting is looking good. The formatting is still a little bit off. I don't know why that is centering that. Let's just take a look at the table, and maybe I'm sorting the whole table. I'm not sure here. We have table style, border collapse. We have a div style. Oh, here we have text align center on the whole row. So that explains that. And so in this case, we probably just want to get rid of that. The other thing I want to do while I'm in here is I think I want the vendor colon to be bold. So we'll say, I think it's strong on that. And let's see what that does. I give the map a second to refresh. Yeah, so it's no longer centered. It's the vendor header is bolded. Let's see, let's test, I think it's this one. We have Empton, and then we have another vendor here as well. Let me cue you. Yeah, so this is a possible issue here. I'll have to think through how to deal with that. Because this is an admin shop, and I don't want it to have the user who created the admin shop. I'd much rather have it just say admin shop. And so I probably need to make a util function or something to make that happen. But that's still not always down. Let me just make a note of that here. Say, admin shops. Let's go bring up this one. So yeah, so my thought here was we want to include the vendor, and then we want to include this header. And so let's just take a look and see what we could do for that. So we've got this, we've got the vendor. Now let's add in, let's move this guy down. So we've got the div, the table. Let's just move this whole row down. And I think we want that to go below the vendor, so let's give that a try. And I'll probably want to adjust the format of that a little bit more, just kind of doing incremental piecemeal steps here. See how each one looks and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it, and hopefully at the end we'll have something that looks pretty nice. But again, the compile test build test cycle is a little lengthy with the server involved. Yeah, so here we have vendor, pixel grief, item amount by, so there's the header, then the table. Then we have vendor, queued pixel. So the only formatting thing is I probably want some separator between these two sections. Maybe just just like a blank row. I'm not sure yet. I could do a border above. The border above is tricky because if I do a border above, this first one would look a little funky. And so I think a kind of a blank row might be better, at least easier, if I can get that to render properly. So let's go look at that. We want the blank row to go, looks like between the table and the vendor. And so probably we want to check here. If last vendor is not null, then we do this. Let's move this down. I guess we'll just keep it here. I don't know. I'll figure that out. So if last vendor is not null, we just want to output a blank row. Now we'll continue with the white background color. Yeah, call span 6 makes sense. Let's try without any content for the moment. I might have to throw in a non-breaking space in order to get this to render, but let's try with nothing first. And just see what this does. Don't know why we have pending map renders in the world. I haven't done anything in the world lately. Unless my sheep are eating grass, I suppose that could be it. Yeah, so we're just doing our attempt at no content for this blank row and just see what that does. I might have to add a little something to it to get it to actually render. I'm not sure what the browser will do if I give it no content whatsoever. Oops. Oh, let's actually get rid of the land claims. Yeah, it looks like it's not really doing anything. Let's, I think I could bring up our inspector here and we can try to see what's going on. Yeah, so we did get a row here, and it just gave us, let's see, it's this one here. Yeah, it just didn't render it. I mean, it rendered maybe like a pixel, it looks like, or 2 pixels high. And so not enough space. If I wanted, I suppose I could give it a height. I think there's a CSS height attribute, and that might be easier than just throwing in some content. Let's say CSS height. We have auto. We can give it in pixels. Auto length percent initial inherit. Let's see, we could do px, cm, etc. Read about length units. I think centimeters, no, millimeters, inches, pix, pt, picas. EM, ooh. Yeah, EM. 1 EM is probably what I want, so let's try that. We'll say style. Actually, maybe I could do this here. Let's say height is equal to 1 EM. And so that should be the same as if we had some textual content in there. Let's go see what that does. We'll close our development console. All right, let's take a look. Let's turn off the land claims again. Still not doing anything here. Let's just confirm that this did come across. So we have, this is the row. We have element. Oh, it's not equals, it needs to be colon. I'm a little rusty with my CSS apparently. There we go. I do wish there was an easier way of doing this. I mean, I really like compiled languages like Java, because it means your IDE and your compiler can give you a lot of help before you actually deploy something. When you're dealing with interpreted languages like HTML and CSS, you pretty much don't find out until you actually run it. So it does mean I have kind of these extra steps before I find out I've screwed something up. Okay, there we go. So we have vendor, pixel grief, then we have our header, vendor, queued pixel, and we have just a little bit of space there. If I wanted more, I could make it like 2 EM or 1.5 EM or something. I don't know. I think it looks okay. I'm a little worried about these borders here, but they're probably okay. Like, do I want to add a full border around this whole thing? Make this a box. I think I'm going to leave it as is for now. I can always go back and change the formatting later on and add more stuff. But I think maybe stick with just kind of the purely functional change for the moment that adds the vendor information, and save the formatting for maybe a later commit if you want to add in more formatting here. I'm not sure yet. I think it looks okay as is, but there might be room for additional formatting. Yeah, so I have this add vendor name, and then there's this concept of admin shops. Pixel Grief says, it looks great. Easy to see where the vendor split is. Thank you. Yeah, I do appreciate kind of that secondary eye on that, just so that I'm not kind of going crazy trying to figure out on my own, so I do appreciate that. And yeah, I think it looks okay. I might tweak it later on, but I think for a version 1.0, that's probably a good place to be. So yeah, for the admin shop, we have Empton here, and then we have Let Me Queue You, and this is actually an admin shop. Let me see here. What's the code look like? So we output current vendor. String current vendor equals shop get vendor get name. Yeah, so let's try this. If, let's see. If the shop dot, is it shop type? Do we display admin shops? I think we have type, shop type. Let's go look at our log file here. Type normal. Normal and admin, yeah. So type is what we're going to want. So if the shop.get type dot equals, I think that's just shop type dot admin. So if it's an admin shop, let's return admin shop. Otherwise, we'll return that. A little bit lengthy. Let's try that. Ah, come on. Well, yeah, I guess I'll format this according to what they want. That'll work. So if it's an admin shop, we do admin shop. Otherwise, we get the vendor name. And the reason why I'm doing it like this is because I want to have this be in italics. I'm going to use emphasis on this. And this will at least get it to show up as an admin shop. What it won't do is sort it properly yet. So one thing at a time. Let's try this first. And then we'll fix the sorting. It just occurred to me, one of the things I need to test with this ShopChest plugin is how it deals with admin shops. Like, do they have actual inventory, or is it all imaginary? Like you basically buy and sell to it, but you don't actually give it any inventory or take any inventory from it. So it kind of be like basically an infinite supply and an infinite sell. Let's see. Let's go bring up the Empton stores. Yes, we have Empton first. Yeah, vendor admin shop. So that shows up in italics. If I really wanted to, I could potentially put the actual vendor there, but I don't know. Let me go look at the documentation on ShopChest and see what it says about admin shops. Create an admin shop. You do not need to put items inside the chest. Yeah, so for admin shops, we probably need to get rid of these things that allow you to buy and sell saddles. So let me just do some testing here. I'm going to log in as my personal account. And fire up my local test server. And yeah, I'm going to grab myself some saddles. And this should be the shop right up here. There it is. All right. Yeah, so if I want to buy a saddle, well, first let's try /shop info. And I think our plugin says there's 2 available to buy, so let's try to buy more than 2. So I just bought 5 saddles from it. And nothing changes. Let me go log in as administrator and see if anything's changed with that shop. My guess is nothing has. I'm guessing an admin shop just doesn't take inventory out and doesn't put inventory in. But we'll just do a quick test and see what this does. All right, so this is my local account. Let's go take a look. Oh, come on. /shop open. Yeah, so there's still 2 saddles in it. So the saddles that I bought from that shop basically materialized out of thin air. So that is the benefit of admin shops. We can also test and see what happens if I sell saddles to it and just make sure that these saddles disappear. Just kind of test both ends of this process. So I'll switch back to my regular account. And we'll give it a try. So yeah, I will just sell back every saddle I have here. Not enough items, so I think I've sold all of my saddles. And again, it doesn't give me inventory information. Let's go back to the safety of my home, log out, and log in as an administrator and see what that says. All right, now to log back in as the administrator. Yeah, so it just has the 2 saddles that I put in there. Everything else has basically vanished. And so let's go ahead and put these back where I got them. Using my admin powers to open my regular shop here and splat those in. Yeah, so that's kind of a separate task here. That's a little separate from what I'm dealing with. But basically, admin shops need to have their inventory not displayed because it doesn't really matter. Because they basically have infinite inventory. In fact, ooh, that'd be cool. That was just again, I could add like the infinity symbol for that stuff. So I'll look into that. All right, so we've got the admin shop. It's there at least. The sorting is the next question. So let's go look at the sorting issue. See, I wonder if we could do like a boolean dot compare. Ooh, we can. Alrighty. Yeah, so let's say string. No, that's not a string. Let's say boolean admin shop 1 is equal to shop1 dot get shop type equals shop type dot admin. What's a shop type dot admin? Is that? Wow. Is that the same thing I did over here? Huh. So it must be an inner class. A little weird, but okay. I'll work with that. Yeah, so if this equals shop type admin, then that makes it, yes, true an admin shop. We'll do the same thing for admin shop 2. Let's rename this. How do I do a rename? Is that Shift F6? Yeah, we'll say vendor result. We say int admin shop result is equal to boolean dot compare admin shop 1, admin shop 2. If this result is not equal to 0, then return that result. Now the tricky thing here is I'm not sure which will be returned first, whether false or true will be. So we'll have to see. I'm hoping that true is returned false, but it may not be. Yeah, if that's the case, I probably want to reverse this check. Or we could say, we could reverse this. We could say normal shop. Yeah, I kind of like the name admin shop. We could reverse this. We could say return the negative version of that. Get the result since false sorts before true. This is just an assumption. We will test this shortly, and if that is not true, we'll go ahead and revert all that. But I have to imagine that false is going to come before true. Just like 0 would come before 1 would be my guess, but we'll see. I suppose I could always see what the Java language says about this here, rather than guessing. Give me something to do while we're waiting for that to load. Oh, that's pretty boring. The value is 0 if they're equal, if a value less than 0 if not x and y greater than 0 if x and not y. Let's see, if not x, so if x is false and y is true, and greater if x is true and y is false. So yeah, I think that is correct. I think my assumption is correct that the ordering does place false before true, if I'm reading that correctly. So when I go this, excellent. So our admin shop is first. But we can see now that our inventory is listed as 0 and we can sell 27 items. But again, we need to address that. We'll fix that in a future commit here. Okay, so we've sorted admin shops so that admin shops appear first. We've made it so that the vendor appears as this italicized version here, rather than the actual name of the player. If I want to, I could always add in the actual name of the player, but I don't think that really matters. I don't think we care for admin shops who set it up. So that shouldn't, I'm fine with just leaving that as is. Interesting, I see our colors. We start light, then we go dark. Oops, I didn't want to do that. We start light, then we start dark. Do I want to start light for every single time we start a new vendor. Maybe let's go take a look at the code and see what that might look like. Where do we get our color from anyways? Alternate is equal to not alternate. And where does alternate get initialized? Go to declaration, Control B. Yeah, so we say we start it to true. Alternate is equal to true. And I suppose every time we have a new vendor, we could say alternate is equal to, I will say true. Say alternate is equal to true. I think I just want to dump these towards the end of this section here. So a minor change, but it basically means that the colors will be the same for every single vendor. They'll all start with that, I think it's the light gray, rather than being at the whim of whether there's an odd or even number of shops. Yeah, we start light gray, and then we start dark gray. So I want to basically start light gray for every single table here, every single vendor. All right, let's take a look. Perfect, yeah. So we start light gray, then we end light gray, and then we start light gray again. And so that little change is working just fine. Well, what else is there? Let's go look at our notes. We've added vendor name. We have a note to address admin shops. This is really like remove item count from admin shops. Vendor name, I think, is done. We've added the name. We've sorted it. We've dealt with admin shops in terms of the name, and that the admin shop appears as an admin shop and appears first. We've added the white space between the vendors. I think it looks good. I can't think of anything else to change here, so let's go look at the code and see if we're ready for a commit. All right, so we've added this last vendor string and we initialize it to null. We've cut out the header row here and we've pasted that down below here, I think. Yeah, here's the header. Now we've added a check here for string current vendor is equal to get type. If type is an admin shop, we set it to this italicized admin shop string. Otherwise, we get the vendor, get the name. If current vendor equals last vendor, then we say if last vendor is not null, so basically anytime other than the first time, we add this kind of blank row here. It's white. We give it a height of 1 EM, so basically one row of text, or yeah, one row of text. Then we add in this row of the vendor. So vendor colon, the vendor colon is in bold, and then we output the current vendor. Then we output our headers. We reset alternate. One of the issues we addressed was the alternate, or the alternating color wasn't resetting properly, so we've added alternate equals true. Then we update the last vendor at the end of all that. We've adjusted our comparator, so now we sort first on admin shop. So we pull out admin shop, we pull out vendor. I don't know why. Oh, right, because vendor was the thing we had to add. So we sort first on admin shop. If we say admin shop result is equal to Boolean compare admin shop 1 versus admin shop 2. If admin shop result is not 0, we return negative admin shop result. And here we negate the result since false sorts before true. And here we say int vendor result is equal to, well, I don't, I'm trying to see if sorts is the correct phrase there because it's a comparison since false is less than, I don't know, I guess sorting, the sorts word is correct enough, and at least in the context, because I'm using this for sorting. At least I'll know what it means. It's just trying to explain why I have this minus sign and why it's important, because otherwise it's just kind of out there. Then we compare next we compare the vendor result. Vendor compare to vendor 2. If they're not 0, we return that. And finally we compare based on item. Oh, we've added this padding. Let's go fix this padding again. I want to go back to 5. Because I think 5 looks better. I made it 10 for testing purposes. But let's go test this again and make sure that this all works here. All right, give us a second for the map to update. These regions should be quite a bit smaller now. Yeah, that's going to be much more manageable. Turn off land claims. So here we have vendor admin shop. Here we have vendor Empton. Vendor queued pixel. Vendor queued pixel. All looks good so far. Pixel Grief with their jungle boat. Pixel Grief with their chicken, diamonds, feathers, and gold. Yeah, let's take another look at our commit. As I've talked about all of this, we've talked about the comparator, and we've got rid of the 10 versus the 5. So I think we're pretty good. Add vendor name to the table. Next up, remove item counts from admin shops. And so the issue here, let's go bring up this, is the shop. It looks like there's 0 items to buy, 0 saddles to buy on the admin shop here. I see Pixel Grief chatted here. He says you have to get rolling. Well, thank you for hanging out today. I do appreciate your comments. And you say if you do get to a release point today, are you going to install it at aberrantwonder.com? Yeah, if you're okay with that. I generally like to at least run stuff like that by you first, since you are you helped to run the server with me. But if you're good with that, then yeah, I'll probably go ahead and deploy that if I get to a release today. And you are excellent. So yes, if I get to a good release point today, I will go ahead and deploy that on Aberrant Wonder, and that should be in place. And once again, thank you for hanging out today, and I will catch you later. Sweet. Have a good evening. Thank you. You have a good evening as well. All right, so we've got this commit. Up next is to look at, removing item counts from admin shop. So where I was is, the shop, this output says we have 0 items for sale, but as our testing showed earlier, we actually have an infinite number of items for sale. This also says we have 27 items that we can sell back to the shop, but as our testing indicated, that's actually an infinite number of items. So let's go look at the code here. We have shop get product get amount. We have buy price, sell price. Oh yeah, this is going to be a little challenging. So we have this price, and apparently the plugin, the ShopChest plugin, uses 0 to indicate that buying or selling is disabled. So we have this check. If it's 0, we just don't output anything. We used to output NA, but we stopped because that was just too much. So we just don't output it anymore. It's just a blank space. And for an admin shop, I think the same thing. I want to leave it as a blank space, but then, rather than doing all of this, we're probably going to want to do yet another check. And so what will that look like? Let's just add parentheses around this whole thing here, because it's going to be a little bit tricky otherwise. We'll say trying to see here. I'm considering doing the trinary operator again, but it's just going to be so ugly and hard to read, so is there just a better option here? Let's try string buy price is equal to empty string. Let's initialize it to that. Then if shop.getBuyPrice is not equal to 0, then we do a couple things here. And now, now let's bring up the admin shop here. Shop get type, so if it's an admin shop, we say buy price is equal to. Now what I want to do, if I can get away with it, is to include the infinity Unicode symbol. As U plus 221E. Let's just copy that. So we set buy price is equal to that. Otherwise, we set buy price is equal to this. We'll do the same thing for sell price. So if the sell price is not 0, we then go as an admin shop. If it is, we set sell price to infinity. We're going to have similar issues here for... Actually, no, I'm screwing up. It's not the price that I care about. It is the inventories. So let's undo all of this. Just make sure I don't have anything to commit. All right. Yeah, so the price is correct. We want to maintain the price as is. Let's go bring this up. Let's go bring up the admin shop, because the price still matters. You can still buy for 25 and sell for 5. It is the inventory amount that matters. And so it's the inventory count and the free space count that matters here. Yeah, so we have shop buy price is equal to 0. If that's true, then we return empty string. Otherwise, so I don't know, let me just test and see if I can combine these trinary operators, because this formatting is a little bit different, and I might be able to get away with this a little bit better. Otherwise, it's a little bulky. Say so if it's an admin shop, we want the infinity symbol. Otherwise, we want this other thing. Yeah, the formatting seems to work. So yeah, we start with, if the buy price is 0, empty string. Otherwise, if it's an admin shop, infinity. Otherwise, we format the inventory count. Let's do the same thing for down below. We'll say if it's an admin shop, we do that. Otherwise, we do that. Let's go see what that does. And probably what I want to do is actually log in as the administrator and set up a couple different test shops here. Just so we can test the two variants of this. Let's go grab a couple of saddles from the Cute Pixel store. I'm gonna need a chest. So give, let me queue you, chest. Let's say /shop delete. Oops. Shop remove. Let's see. Shop remove. /shop remove splat. Guess I can't remove anything as long as I'm invisible. Yeah, so let's place one here, and one here. And let's say shop create 1.25.0 admin. And shop create 1.05 admin. So we can buy for 25 silver, or we can sell for 5 silver. Those are the two shops now. So we can test both ends. And yeah, why did I even take these saddles out? I guess I need them to create the shops, but I don't need to keep them. So I'll go dump these back. Slash shop open. Not that it really matters. It's just a test server. I don't have to worry about getting these things perfect. Alright, so now that we've set up our test case, let's go ahead and build a new version of our plugin, deploy it, and see what it does. Now, normally this server, our Aberrant Wonder server, doesn't actually use any admin shops. And so we won't actually be testing this in any way on our actual server. But if somebody else uses this plugin, I do want this stuff to work. Ah, perfect. So here we have, you can buy a saddle for 25. The number you can buy is infinite. It's a little tiny to see. You have to really get in there. Can I make that larger? Unfortunately, the dynamic map is eating my zoom inputs here. Can I do it up here? Oh yeah, there we go. Looks kind of crappy. Yeah, so now we can see the infinity sign shows up pretty well once I zoom in a little bit. Once I go to the default zoom, it's a little hard to see. That should be fine. Let's go check a real shop here. And yeah, we don't have the infinity sign. Everything seems to be working just fine. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go take a look at the commit. Yeah, we basically just added the secondary check. If it's an admin shop, we display infinite inventory. I think it's really, you display infinite inventory and free space for admin shops is really what that's about. Boom. Add enchantments. Okay, so I'm not sure what to do about enchantments yet. My thought with enchantments For example, like the fishing rods are all enchanted here. My thought with enchantments would be to include the enchantments underneath the item name as like additional rows. And so let's just take a look at the code here. Specifically, the debug code does enchantments. We have enchantments, get enchantments string, at Dynmap get enchantments, shop get product. Let's try something like this. Figure out where we have item name. Yeah, here we go. Let's say 4. Enchantment in that. Just add a dot for the moment. Well, let's see, we could probably just do, a break. Oh my, it's putting the items on the right. Well, we'll just see what this looks like, I guess. We'll have a break. And then let's say builder.append. We'll say language utils dot I'll say get enchantment name. Something's wrong here. For each not applicable to So this is a map of enchantments to integers. All right, yeah, so we need integers, blah, 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 dot key sets. There we go. So this is a map. Can I just do this? Probably not. It's probably going to complain. Map of enchantments. Yeah, it doesn't like that. So we need to say it's a map of enchantment to integer. Enchantment, comma, then we need enchantments dot get what's wrong here? I think that'll work. The formatting is going to be a little crappy because I haven't done anything with formatting yet, but at least it should give one enchantment per line, and we will go from there. All right, so let's go take a look. Yeah, so the formatting is shit. Not sure what to do about the formatting. Possibly I don't know. Let's go look at the Empton store real fast. I don't think he has any enchanted stuff, but when I'm thinking of formatting questions, it's useful to look at kind of a worst case scenario. Yeah, so he has some things wrap. I'm just trying to figure out what to do, because I have some pretty lengthy enchantments here that might wrap. I think I'm just going to ignore that possibility for the moment. I think I'm going to format this text, probably make it emphasis, so it'll be italicized. But otherwise, I think I'm going to leave it alone. So let's try emphasis and see what that does for us here. All right, let's take a look. Even with the italics, it's still a little hard to differentiate between the two. And so maybe a better option would be to make the item name bold. So let's try that. To do that, we'll use the strong attribute. I'm a little worried that this is going to conflict a bit with the header, but we'll see. This item is left aligned, the item name is right aligned, so maybe it'll work. I don't know. We'll just have to see here. I think that looks okay. I might add back the italics on the enchantments. Let's check the Empton store, since the bold is potentially going to make more things wrap. Looks like it's not too bad. The scroll wheel works here, which is handy, as opposed to being outside and it tries to zoom the map. Now here for this, it's a little not so great because there's so few items. The formatting kind of gets bunched up, but I think it looks all right. I think it still works. So yeah, so let's keep what we've got. Let's keep the bold on the item name, and let's add back the emphasis. Ah, come on. And wait, as always, for our map to refresh. There we go. Turn off land claims and take a look. So yeah, I think the combination of the bold item name and the italics for the enchantment, I think that works well because it highlights the item name. It kind of de-highlights the enchantment a little bit. And I think that works. Unbreakable 3, Luck of the Sea 3, All right, yeah, so the order is different. So I have the same 4 enchantments to all 3 of these, but the order is different. So we have Unbreaking, 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 Luck of the Sea, Luck of the Sea, Luck of the Sea. And then we have Lure, Mending, Lure. So I think the first and the third are the same. The one in the middle is different. Makes me wonder about sorting based on enchantments. I don't even know how I would go about doing that. Because yeah, ideally, these two being the same should be right next to each other. So let's go take a look and see if it's easy to make an enchantment thing for that. Probably what I'll do is something like this. Grab this. Yeah, so we have where there's an admin shop, we have the vendor, we have the item, and then I think finally we have enchantments. So we'll say, sure, import classes, whatever, I don't care. String enchantments 1 is equal to get enchantment string, item utils, get enchantments, shop 1, get product. String enchantments 2 is equal to shop 2. One thing that occurs to me is I could do this. Do these early returns here. Yeah, here we have, instead of vendor result, it's now item results. Item results is equal to item 1 compared to item 2. If item results is not equal to 0, then return item results. Otherwise, we do enchantments 1 dot compare to enchantments 2. Oop. Hate it when I do that. Reset my settings as best I can. It screws up some other things, like OBS is now looking a little weird, but at least it fixes my console window here. Yeah, so the main change there should be just sorting. Let's just take a look and see how this sorts here. Yeah, so now we have Unbreaking, Luck of the Sea, Lure, Mending. Then Mending, Lure. Yeah, so Lure sorts before Mending. So yeah, it's basically sorting the enchantments alphabetically. And that looks good. So let's go check our notes, see if there's anything else to look at here. Add enchantments. Anyway, basically, we made the item name bold, so that helps offset it from the enchantments. Let's go check a shop with no enchantments, and I think it looks okay. It does tend to offset the item name a little bit, makes it stand out a little bit better. Stuff like this that has very few items, it's a little weird, but I think it still works. So yeah, let's go see where our commit is at, and I think we're looking pretty good. Alright, so we've added the strong modifier around the item name to make it bold. We get the list of enchantments, or in this case a map of enchantments to level for the item. For each enchantment, we add a line break, and then we add emphasis around the enchantment. We use language utils to get the enchantment name. We give it the enchantment and the level. It's a little weird how they have us go about doing this, but it works. Then inside our comparator, we've done a little bit of refactoring here. We've moved the code to do the comparison right next to the code to get the values. It's a little bit of an efficiency thing in that if we can determine what goes first based on the first item, whether it's an admin shop or not, then we don't need to check vendor and item and all this other stuff. So yeah, we just move that up. We check admin shop, we check vendor, then we check item. Then at the very end, we check enchantments. It all seems to work just fine. So add enchantments to the table. Set up schedule job to periodically update shop information on the map. Yeah, so I have another plugin that I've written that has a scheduled job. Let's go take a look at that plugin. This is Stimulus Package. There's a new beta feature. Your profile can show an overview of your activity across repositories and organizations. Excellent time to tell me that right in the middle of a stream. Always appreciate that. Of course, GitHub doesn't know. All right, let's take a look at our plugin. So we've created these tasks. That do the work. Let's go look at the plugin. So on Enable, we do a bunch of stuff. The Stimulus Package plugin is a lot more complicated. Schedule the stimulus task. So we construct the task. We create an interval. Then we run task timer. And I think this says the first call happens after this period of time. the next call happens after this period of time. Our case is a little more complicated because we have this event, this on shop initialized event that we use to know when to do things. We could implement, what is it? What's the task? The task extends bucket runnable, and so I'm not going to be able to implement, I'm not going to be able to extend both bucket runnable and Java plugin, so I do need to create a new task class. So let's see where we're at, make sure we've got nothing to commit. All right, let's go create a new task class. Maybe call it update shops task. Start with that. Let's not add that right away. Let's go pull in my standard copyright notice. Let's see, we want this to extend something. Let's go grab this. We want to extend bucket runnable. That in order for this to be happy, we need to implement run, public void run. That should at least be enough to compile. Yeah. Yeah, basically what we want to do is take everything from here. What we might do is take stuff like this, the shop comparator. I think we can do like a private splat. Just make that a member variable, because who cares? It doesn't matter. I'm going to start closing some of these things that I'm not using. Like shop region. No, stop, cancel. Yeah, let's go ahead and do all those imports. Yeah, so we have this dot locations dot contains. Not sure what that is used for. Okay, that gets rid of duplicate shops. And so yeah, I think we'll just create a new one of those in each iteration of this, or each call of this. So let's just create a new one. We'll splat that in. Say, yeah, let's import all that, sure. Set locations equals new hash set blah blah blah. And instead of this locations, just that. Okay, so we need to get a logger. Let's see, what can I do for loggers? I can just do... bucket.get logger. So we could probably get the logger. Probably doesn't really matter too much because I'm going to get rid of this login information anyways. Some other things is we have the ShopChest plugin. So many things to deal with here. I think what I want to do is pass in the plugin to this here. So let's go create a constructor. We'll say update shop tasks. We'll make it a friendly package accessible constructor. This will take a Dynmap ShopChest plugin. What did I do over here? Did I just call it plugin? Yeah, we'll just call it plugin. So this will be private. This dot plugin is equal to plugin. Don't know what it's complaining about here. Invalid method declaration, return type required. It is a constructor. We'll update shops task. All right, so we have. We could do this dot plugin dot ShopChest. This dot plugin dot get logger. ShopChest, we're going to have to make that friendly. Locations we can get rid of. This get shop region. So we're going to need to copy and paste or cut and paste these two helper functions. Get shop region and check overlapping regions. Both of these guys have to go. Sure, import all that. So it looks like this is going to want a shop regions data structure. So let's go bring that over. Yeah, so we've brought over the shop regions. And we have the logger. This is this.plugin.getLogger. Alright, so we're missing format string. Where did format string come from? We made a private format string. And let's see, I think when we did the on enable here, we did that. So let's go copy paste that. We'll say this.plugin. We'll say this.plugin.economy. And economy needs to be friendly. Oh, you know, let's just set it aside here. We'll say economy. This.economy is equal to that. So I don't know, do we use ShopChest anywhere? I could possibly... get rid of these things. I'll continue to play and see what we have here. Alright, so we have getLogger. This is this.plugin to getLogger. Here we have marker set. Yeah, let's revisit some of this stuff here. So do we need economy in the plugin? I don't think so. And so I think... I don't think we even need ShopChest in the plugin, so it might make more sense to drop plugin. Let's go drop plugin here. And instead, let's add in ShopChest and economy are the two things that we really need here. Say private. In fact, we probably don't even need the economy. We can just do, let's drop this. Let's drop that. Yeah, so we got the economy, we got the format string based on that, so we don't need to store economy any longer. For a shop chest, you can just say this.shopChest is equal to, okay, we need to get our server. Can we just do bucket.getServer? Yeah, we'll just do bucket.getServer. Boom. There we go. So it gets a shop chest and our format string. need to... How often does ShopChest make an appearance here? Lots of imports, variable, get it, use it. That's it. So yeah, I think we can just drop this. No need to be fancy about it, although yeah, we're going to need to do it every time we run, so might as well just do it once, even if we don't need it multiple times. So now it's this dot shop chest. Oh yeah, we still have the logger. Damn it. So I still need to add in private but I could probably get rid of this as soon as I get rid of the logger. So that'll add that back. All right. I think the only thing we're really missing right now is the marker set. So let's look at the marker set. Let's drop the stuff we're no longer using. And the shop chest, register events, fine. Yeah, so we get the dynamic map API. Create marker set. Let's just pull this out. Say bucket.get server. So many imports that we're no longer using. This plugin class is going to be basically empty when we're done here. So we create a marker set. What are my options here with marker API? Marker API dot create marker set, blah, 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 blah. Okay, how about for marker set? Marker set dot delete marker set. Remove allowed marker icon. I was really hoping there'd be like a clear everything out. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to, basically delete the entire marker set and rebuild it every time. And so that's what we should do, is do this. Let's say marker set, we'll make it private. This dot marker set is equal to that. Let's set it equal to null initially. Let's see, we could pull this API out, say private splat. So we have plugin. Then we have ShopChest. Shop comparator. That probably could go down. I don't know yet. We'll see. So the plugin, ShopChest, marker API. And format string. All right. So if this dot marker set is not null, then marker this dot marker set dot delete marker set. I think I want to look up the API for this. I don't know if I have that available. Oh yeah, I want to go to Dynmap and just look at their API. Is that a core API? Dynmap common API. Actually, what I want is a marker API. So let's see, do we have a marker API? Yeah. Create marker set. So we have string, ID, label. Let's go look at marker set and see what delete does here. Delete marker set. It'll be nice if it gave me a little more information about what it was going to do there. But all right, so we have ID first. So let's use the name of this plugin. We'll say, what am I using for the name of my plugin? Dynmap ShopChest, that's what we'll go with. And if we look at the map, we have land claims, then ShopChest. I think I'm just going to say shops. Set layer priority 10. Yeah, so if the marker set's not null, let's delete it, and then we create a new marker set. Hopefully this will work. I'll have to test this. Create a new set of locations. Iterate over the shops. Just trying to see if there's anything showing up red here that needs to be addressed. I don't know why these are showing up highlighted. All right, everything seems to be good, so let's get rid of marker set. I don't need that. What I need to do is to create a new scheduled job. So let's go look at how we do that over here. So the stimulus task, this is update shops task equals new. I think it needs an instance of this. We have payment interval. Let's call this an update interval. Int update interval is equal to, I think we did this in seconds. Let's confirm that. Resources. Let's go with config. Payment interval 900 seconds, 15 minutes. Yeah, so let's go with seconds, say 900. So 900 seconds times 26 per second. $15 minutes times 20 ticks per second. Now in this case, I think I want 0 to happen there. I want that to run immediately. And then I want it to run again after the update interval fires. We can confirm this by bringing up the Spigot API. Except I don't really want the 113 snapshot. I want... hopefully 1.13 hasn't changed too much in terms of what I'm looking at using. What I want is the task. So this is so much code. A bucket runnable. So let's go find bucket runnable. And it was what? Run task timer. All right, so this needs plugin, needs delay, needs period, so delay. The text to wait before running the task, the text to wait between runs. Yeah, so I want to have no delay and then wait 15 minutes before running it again. So yeah, 0 for the delay, then 15 minutes for the period. Although probably what I want to do is let's go with 60 seconds on this. Just while we're testing. Well, let's see if this builds so far, see if there's anything missing. I think it might work. Let's give this a try. All right, so it's running, should be running every 60 seconds. Or, yeah, every, let's confirm. Yeah, every 60 seconds. So we can double check this by looking at the log, because it'll dump a whole lot more information when we do another run here. So we'll just take a look and see if this is updating. Should bump at 15:15 here. Okay, there we go. So no crashing. Let's go bring up the map and see what the map is doing. All right, great. So we have our land claims and our shops as kill land claims. And bring up shops. Let's bring up Pixel Grief here. And should update at what, 16.13, I guess, is the new 16.12, 16.13. I'm not sure what it's using here. Alright, so that updated. Let's see if that does anything weird. So I wasn't sure, but it looked like everything got a little darker when it ran. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it. It should run around 1712. Yeah, I just made all of these darker. Just trying to think through what to do about this. This is a bug, or it's related to a bug I've seen with the dynamic map, where, like with the land claims, if a player is on the server and making a land claim larger and larger and larger, like if you look at this claim and I logged in and I extended this that way over and over and over again, we would actually see multiple regions here, multiple markers. So the plugin just wasn't deleting the older markers. And now I'm seeing the same thing here with the shops, which is it's basically stacking up all of the markers. And so I'm trying to work out how much I care about that. And what to do about it. Certainly if I'm running it every 15 minutes, it's probably going to be less of a concern than running it once a minute. Just out of testing purposes, let's see what we can do here. So if marker set is not null, let's do some stuff. Else, let's create a new marker set. That's what this dot marker set dot get markers. So maybe 4 marker. Marker dot delete marker. and return. So that's one option. The other option is to just delete the marker set entirely and see what this does. So yeah, so if the marker set already exists, we delete it and then return. Otherwise, we create it. So the very first time we run this, it'll create all the markers. And then the second and subsequent times, it will just delete the marker set. And let's just see what that does to our map here. So let's package this up. Let's go ahead and stop this, redeploy. All right, so I've created our first, our marker set. Wow, this just gets worse and worse and worse. Look at that. It just, this is totally unusable. All right, so we've created our first marker set. That came out around 1723.00. So 1724.00, it should rerun, although it won't print any debug output this time. Just waiting a second to see if it actually updates on the map here. I haven't seen anything. Now what happens if I refresh? So if I refresh, it's gone. It's only if I keep it open, there's an issue. So let's test this alternate option, which is instead of deleting the marker set, let's just delete every marker in the marker set and see if that does anything different. Alright, so 1725.16. So let's go refresh, and our markers are back. Everything's working. So on 1726.15, it should go and delete all the markers again. And I'm just not sure what the alternative is here, other than doing a more elaborate algorithm that tracks what has changed and what hasn't changed. And there's so many changes that might happen. We might have new regions, we might have merged regions. All right, so it should have fired by now. All of these markers still exist. So let's refresh. 172515, 172515. It definitely should have deleted them by now. In fact, we're getting close to the point where we're going to delete them all a second time. Of course, they shouldn't exist anymore. Alright, so they should have deleted a second time now. And they all still exist. Well, I'm not sure what the answer is here. Let's see if we can find the actual implementation of these things. This looks like the implementation for the marker API. How about the marker set implementation? And there's a delete marker set. Marker API implementation, remove marker set. And how about marker? If marker set is null, return marker set, remove marker. Let's just do a blame on this as well and see if this file's been changed lately. Six years ago, 7 years ago. Okay, well, hasn't been changed lately. Nothing's changed here. Yeah, not seeing anything obvious here. I'm kind of running out of time myself for today. And so what I might do is well, I think what seems to be the most workable is this. This is not working. So let's get rid of that. Yeah. So what was sort of working here was this approach, where it basically deleted the marker set and recreated it. It did leave some gunk behind on the map, but what you could do is refresh and it would go away. And so that's probably going to be the approach I'm going to take for now. Let's rebuild and just make sure that this is working. And so 17:33:36 is when that got updated. I'm just going to go through and delete or close some of these things I'm no longer using. So it should be refreshing any second now. Yep, it just refreshed and it just got darker. But if I refresh the map, it goes back. So that's just going to have to be the workaround for the moment. So let's go into here and set this interval back to 15 minutes. Although I might want to make that an hour, just so we're less likely to run into these issues. That should be, what, 3,600? 60 seconds times 60 minutes. Yeah, 3,600. One hour times 26 per second. And this will be configurable in the config file. I have on my to-do list to enable a config file. That's the very last task. All right, well, I think we're at a decent commit point. Let's just test this next commit, or this last change. And the only real change is the time. We won't wait a full hour. We'll just make sure it doesn't automatically go after another minute, just to make sure I've done it correctly. All right, so that came through at 1736.53. So when it hits 1738, it should not refresh. All right, so we're at the point where it would refresh. And I'm not seeing anything show up in our server logs, so that looks good. I'm not seeing these guys turn any darker, so I think that's a pretty good change. Yeah, so let's go look at our diff here. The diff is going to be kind of awful, to be honest, because I've just removed a whole bunch of code from here and moved it elsewhere. I basically got all dumped into here. Let's see, we've got marker. Let's drop that import. And really, the code is more or less identical. We've made some minor alterations to account for the location of some of these variables, but otherwise it's basically identical to where it was when we copied it. So I'm going to call that good. Let's say we set up a scheduled job to update shop information on the map every hour. Set up scheduled job to update shop information on the map every hour. That's good enough. Up next is removing debug information. That's relatively simple. Following that is to refactor the style code, and that's a little more complicated. And then adding a config file is a little more complicated after that. But I'm pretty much out of time right now. I want to go grab some dinner, and I want to think about the dynamic map issue. Why I'm not able to delete these markers, and why I'm having all those issues. Just want to think about what to do about that. The current approach will work as a decent workaround, in that basically you only do this once an hour, and people can refresh the web page to make the issue go away. And so I guess it's not horrible, but it does kind of hinder us for some other stuff we want to do in the future. We want to do real-time updates of shop information, and if somebody sells or buys 100 items from a shop and we do 100 updates to the map, that might look pretty crappy. So I at least want to see if I can find a workaround or a solution or something. Maybe grab the latest version of Dynamic Map and see if they fix these issues. It looks like they have a alpha released Thursday at 5:19 a.m. So maybe just to look at the discussions and see what's going on. I don't know, I can get lost in reading about this update here. So I think that's just something I'm going to research on my own and see if I can figure out what alternative approach I can make to that. For the moment, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. As I said, I want to go grab some dinner. So I'm going to go push my changes to GitHub. If you want to take a look at the latest code I have created today, you can go to github.com/cudepixel /dynamicmap-ShopChest. I'll go ahead and paste that link into chat for those who want to take a look there. And that's pretty much it for me today. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.